Okay, so maybe I should start slowly while maybe more people are joining. So welcome to our webinar on urban sustainability and the role of urban doers. This is part of a webinar series that we are organizing at the Istanbul Policy Center. I'm a Mercator-IPC fellow at Istanbul Policy Center, which is part of Sabancı University. And I would like to thank the team at IPC for supporting us, especially Özüm, Pelin, and Funda, for organizing this event, the technicalities and everything. And welcome to you all. So my project at Istanbul Policy Center basically focuses on urban sustainability transition in Turkey and Germany. I focus on municipalities and civil society actors trying to understand how can more effective policies and initiatives can be undertaken. And as part of this, I'm organizing this webinar series on reimagining cities to be able to provide some resources for the basically municipalities and civil society actors, talking to different sort of experienced actors in the field on their own experiences, successes and failures, and what is it there for the future for the cities so that we have more sustainable urban contexts for the future. This is a conversation style webinar, so I will be asking questions to our participants, and then we will also have a Q&A session at the end. Please type your questions in the Q&A section. Apparently, technically, this is how we will be proceeding. First, I would like to introduce our participants. So let me start with our local participant from Turkey, from Istanbul. Yağız Eren Abanus is Environmental Justice Program expert at the Center for Spatial Justice. With a background in law, his focus areas are heat waves, energy poverty, framework climate laws, and energy democracy. His work is deeply rooted in the role of cities and municipalities, where the mentioned areas intersect, shaping his approach to environmental justice and policy. Thank you for being here. Second, we have Josip Rotar, who has been shaping urban mobility in Maribor, Slovenia for over a decade, combining advocacy and policymaking to promote cycling and sustainable city planning. As a key figure in the association Maribor Cycling Network and a member of the Maribor City Council, he works on projects that make cities safer and more accessible for active mobility. His work connects policy, advocacy, and hands-on projects that contribute to greener, more people-friendly cities. And finally, last but not least, and we'll start with him in our conversation, we have Johannes Riegler, who is an urbanist and geographer and the member of the management board of the Driving Urban Transitions Partnership. Besides his engagement in this project, he is running the urban innovation agency at Anthropocene.city, the city's Reimagined podcast, and he advises local public administration in innovation projects as an expert for the European Urban Initiative. So I want to start with you, Johannes, and ask you a little bit about what Driving Urban Transitions project is about and who are urban doers, and what is the intention for bringing together the urban doers community as you do as part of this project?
Zeynep, thank you so much for the nice introduction and for having us here, really. I will tell you a little bit about Driving Urban Transitions, as Zeynep already said, and I prepared some slides for that. It's not many slides. I will run through that hopefully in 5 minutes, so nobody likes too many slides in a webinar, but I hope it gives you a little bit an idea of where we are coming from and why we, as a research innovation program, we think urban doers are relevant in our work. I will share my screen with you. 1 second. You should see the presentation now. So what is Driving Urban Transitions? That is a European partnership. So public partnership between European countries and the European Commission on research innovation. So in total, we have 65 partners from 28 countries. Turkey, for example, is also a member of our initiative. And what we do in the heart, besides many more things, is fund research and innovation projects. And we do so this program runs over 7 years. We have 3, let's say, thematic priorities: transition pathways, which we developed in a sense that these are kind of angles towards urban transitions and towards more livable and sustainable futures. And that is circular urban economy, positive energy districts, and the 50-minute city. To give you a little bit of an idea what kind of projects we fund. So these are research innovation projects, but as you can see here, just from the numbers of our first call, there's only 31% of universities involved in our project as partners. So there's many more actors involved: city authorities, municipalities, NGOs, businesses, and so on. So, and they form so just from the first call, we have 48 projects here, of which are 111 cities are involved. And yeah, you see the spread around Europe here of the project partners in the lab. What I forgot to mention is on the previous slide, so the countries outside of Europe, they are joining our calls for proposals or have been joining them. So they're not active partners in the initiative, but they participate in the joint calls. But we do much more than just funding, because we think that creating an environment or an ecosystem on urban transformation requires more than just giving out money to projects and let them innovate or let them produce or test new knowledge. So we work with the projects. We have a city panel where we bring together local public administrations to exchange with us. We have the Agora stakeholder platform that is let's say, a loose network of urban actors, so anybody can be a part of these debates. We have Agora dialogues on certain topics, usually 2 or 3 times a year, where we bring together, as you can see on the picture, people to exchange ideas, knowledges, and we draw some strategic insight from that. But people should also meet each other and connect and have a platform for exchange. Most of them are online, by the way, so you're welcome to join that. We engage in policy discussions on a European level and global level. And today we're going to talk about mobilizing neighborhood initiatives for research innovation. So although we are a European research innovation program, over the years we saw that there's so much potential and so much knowledge and so much experience on urban transitions on a very local level. But as we'll hear later on, this is not necessarily connected to a European level, although these initiatives all kind of contribute to sustainable transformation and to, let's say, European or global sustainability goals. Yet they work a bit under the radar. They're a bit local, you know, they just work very differently along very different logics than others. So we had the idea to support those with the Urban Doers community to mobilize local knowledges and experiences on urban transformations. And you see the first cohort of projects and people here on the right. We had 20 initiatives supported over the course of a year to, on the one hand side, meet together, exchange, join policy discussions. So many of them have been part in policy discussion in Brussels or in some other webinars also, or other discussion rounds. And yeah, I skipped the video for now because it's too lengthy, but we have a policy paper developed by them to influence policy making on a European and local level or national level eventually, to really highlight the experiences and yeah, the ideas by the local initiatives. And this has been co-created among the initiatives. So it was not only one initiative or one urban doer says, oh, this is important for us, but it was brought together in a workshop. I leave it with this, and I hope for very good discussions later on. I guess we can have that.
Thank you very much, Johannes. This is great. Now I would like to address our urban doers who are with us. Thank you so much again for joining us. So maybe we can start with Josip this time. I would like to maybe ask you to describe yourself, if you want to add something to what I already said about you, and then the description of your work and how it contributes to urban sustainability briefly. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Hello to everybody. So I'm Josip from Maribor, Slovenia. Is the second biggest town in Slovenia. Slovenia is actually country only 2 million population. So maybe it's not to compare with Istanbul or some bigger cities. Maribor is city with 100,000 population. But still, we have a lot of things maybe to exchange, especially how we actually manage improvement in urban environment and how we somehow negotiate and have diplomacy with people running our system, and how is to be somebody from involved in grassroots organizations, or let's say NGOs, and try to improve something. So I'm actually connected to Maribor Cycling Network. This is association. Last year we celebrated 30 years of existence, and during this time we actually were doing our main mission was how to improve conditions for cyclists in our city, because when the association was established, the motorization boom was very high, because as a post-socialist country, when we opened the borders to liberalized car market, everybody wants to ride a car. So that's basically how we actually came out. And yeah, we are actually, for the last 15 years where I'm involved, we professionalized our association. So every time somebody is employed and we have our premises, our bicycle workshop, and doing a lot of different social and advocacy work. Maybe what I can share with you is that we were very successful in the field of advocacy, especially because in the last years we somehow created and developed the concept of bicycle network around the city. It's a concept of primary bicycle corridors. I can show you here. And we actually created like 11 corridors. And last week, this concept was also successfully introduced to the urban spatial plan of Maribor. So we were actually successful to putting this practical, very practical thing, what is really necessary for everybody who is cycling in our city, to the strategical document, which is not confirmed every year, but it was confirmed after 24 years. So it's something which will stay for 1, 2, or maybe 3 decades. And it's actually good because it will give the policymakers and also operative people in the municipality to work on it. So it's a good push to start.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And maybe just short why we actually joined the Urban Doers, because as Johannes mentioned before, like there are a lot of different associations, initiatives around Europe under the radar, you know, and we also were somehow under the radar. And mostly in the past, we collaborated with cycling associations around Europe, but not with other initiatives which are not only strictly focused to cycling, but also focus on some other fields. And this gave us very good insight in how actually other people in other cities are working and improving their environment. And because cycling can be related to all different fields, you know, from social to touristic to infrastructural to activist to very different fields, you know. And it was for me, it was really a little discovery in the past year to come together with so many different people from different parts of Europe and doing such amazing things. Maybe that's for start.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much, Josip. And now we go to Yos, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about their work and how that links to urban sustainability.
Yep. So first of all, thank you for the invitation. I think I will try to be as brief as I can be possible. I think we can get the details about our project into next questions, but for the start, maybe I can briefly introduce myself. I'm Yağız from Center for Spatial Justice. As far as I saw, there are a lot of Turkish people in the audience. So in Turkish, it means Mekanda Adalet Derneği. Maybe some of you might know. Our organization works for fairer, more ecological, and more democratic societies and practices, research and publishing, video activism, walks, mapping, collecting, and spotlighting good practices are some of the activities, some of the activity categories that we do. And I work within the environmental justice department in the center. My main focus area is climate justice, but as sub-focus areas, I focus on heat waves, energy poverty, and framework climate laws. And the project we got involved with the urban doers was related with our focus on energy poverty and heat waves. It was a project from the summer of the 2023. It was titled as Domestic Thermal Comfort for Energy Poverty and Climate Adaptation. Maybe it might be good to translate it into Turkish also. Enerji yoksulluğu ve iklime uyum için ev içi ısı konforu. So it was in Turkish. With this work, we fundamentally implemented a participatory research on the question of how do the people experience extreme heat in indoor domestic environments in Istanbul, and specifically around Şişli district, where is a highly urbanized area and home to different societal groups. So as part of the research, we produced qualitative data through interviews, and also we produced quantitative data through sensors, heat and temperature and humidity sensors located in 32 households. And then we analyzed and turned all the data into a report. We produced a lot of visualizations, etc. But apart from the research aspect of the project, our project also had additional components, such as formation of 2 citizen science communities, several capacity building and promotion events, production of videos, podcasts, and one just very little social innovation mechanism. So yeah, maybe this might be a brief introduction for our project. And I think it also self-explains how does it contributes to the urban sustainability. So I will stop here now.
Okay, thank you very much. So maybe in the next round, our urban doers, Josip and Yağız, can tell us a little bit more about success stories and their impact. So maybe describing a project or initiative that they consider a success, what made it work, and what role does community engagement play in the success of sustainability initiatives? So maybe, I don't know, we can go with the same order. Josip, you can start, and then we'll follow up with the others.
Yes, as I already mentioned, our story with the spatial plan and our concept of cycling corridors, this can actually be really something what can be shared also with other people, because every city have its needs to improve condition for cyclists and also pedestrians. And if you build city for cyclists and pedestrians, actually you build it for everyone. What I maybe didn't show you before, maybe I can show you now in this presentation slide, that this concept is actually like in the order of the clock. So there are 11 corridors connected as a clock, and as you can see, we actually made for each corridor also the analysis. So each corridor is analyzed by the infrastructure, how is good and how is bad, and also it's filmed. So our volunteers were actually cycling with the camera through whole city, through whole corridors, and write what is wrong on each corridor, on each section of the corridor. So we actually have to cycle more than 270 kilometers around the city to show what is wrong. And then we somehow we presented these problems and this concept to the city officials, and they still work on it because it's so comprehensive and so big that they really have to take time. It's not only one problem, but actually it's a general plan. So it's something good, what we wanted to make approach that will give work to the city, not only for 1 month, but actually give work for 5 or 10 years to the city. And I think that's a little bit a present, but also a little bit a push, you know, how they can take it how they want, you know, but still it's a lot.
And
work,
in
yeah.
terms of your interaction with the city officials, is there an official channel through which you can direct your wishes or demands to the city? Is there a cycling desk or office?
Yeah, there are different channels because you mentioned before, I'm also part of the city council. So as a city councilor, I have some additional approaches to the city official, to the mayor, to the vice mayors, but still I'm not doing this as one person. So we actually do this as a association, as a civil society from one level, and on the political level is another approach. So it's a combination of activism and diplomacy. And sometimes this diplomacy is not so visible, as for example, like we saw Trump, Zelensky, where everything was open.
Yeah.
Usually diplomacy is behind the media coverage, you know, and you really have to work systematically with people and address their weaker points. And you know, sometimes the mayors are also egos, you know. Also our mayor is a ego, you know. I can imagine everywhere is probably the same. So it's sometimes takes a lot of effort and smart thinking how to approach and how to actually engage also a mayor who is maybe not on your level of thinking, but still you can introduce some good ideas to him and make this switch. And also what I'm noticing is that although our political group is small in the city council, we have 2 members in the 45-seat council. Our party is Cyclists and Pedestrians. And now we see that after a period of time, I'm now 3 terms, this is, since 2014, I'm a member of the city council, that also other parties started to talk about the problems we started to address. And this is really good because on the local level, a lot of different groups can adopt your vision and start to talk about the similar problems.
Yeah, thank you very much. This is very interesting. So there is actually a cyclist and pedestrian party that was formed by people who were part of the cycling association and other associations?
Yes, yes. Actually, we formed the political party, members of different associations in the city. And the strongest association was Maribor Cycling Network, but there were also other associations like a lot of artists, associations, members of the other communities, like trying to improve urban environment, and also some people who are working at the university. So it was a combination of doers
People
and
coming
doers.
through. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's great. Thank you so much. So maybe we can turn to Yağız for an example of an initiative or a project and the community engagement that has maybe played a part in the success of these sustainability initiatives.
All right. So maybe before I give my answer to that question, I can also share the screen to show our project more concretely. Just a second, if you allow me. So I already mentioned you the sensors and the Istanbul. So this is the map of Istanbul. This is the area that we focused, basically Şişli and close districts to Şişli. Every black dot shows a house that we located a sensor. And on the upper side, it shows the profile data. For example, the neighborhood, the street, if the household involves a person older than 60, younger than 14, stuff like that. So this might be, I think this might be helpful for our audience to concretize our project. But as I also mentioned, we also had some other sensors in other parts of Istanbul too, for example, Maltepe, Üsküdar, and etc., and also Esenler. So before my answer, I also wanted to share you this, and then now I can stop sharing. And yeah, answer to the question of the success. Well, if we look at it, I think our project itself is a success, but I like one aspect of our project the most, so I want to share that aspect. So during our project, we tried to establish an early warning system as a social innovation mechanism. To be honest, we couldn't do what we exactly planned, but it still produced a good result. I think it was fine. And the reasons that we wanted to implement this early warning system on a small scale, because first, a heat early warning system to protect vulnerable groups is non-existent in Turkey. And also second, I'm telling such dramatic info, but yeah, so excuse my laughing, but people are dying because of extreme heat in Istanbul. but there is no public health surveillance system to monitor this problem. This was the second reason that we wanted to, why we established this social innovation mechanism. And the last reason was that we knew costs of early warning systems are really low. So it's not like we are going to rebuild the Istanbul from scratch to include more green areas or etc. And also sending messages to the citizens via phone is a very common practice for municipalities, for mayors, for parliamentarians, especially during the national holidays, to just celebrate their national holidays. So why not send a message during an emergency to inform them about the precautions that they can use? So with all these motivations in mind, and also I have evidence for everything I just said on my presentation, but for the sake of time, I will keep them. If a question comes, then maybe I can show them to you during the Q&A session. So with all these in mind, we sent WhatsApp messages to our citizen science community before the heat waves, to inform them about the precautions that they can take. We tried to be a little bit innovative with our suggestions too, because when you look at the public messaging strategies, for example, WHO, most of the time they talk about really common practices like drink more water, stuff like that. So instead, we tried to include weird suggestions like spray water onto your bed sheet before going to the bed, to decrease the heat stress. And at the final round of our interviews with our citizen science community, we observed that at least one person implemented some of the precautions that we suggested to them. And I think this was a success, at least to me. My friends in my team aren't also, do not think like me, but I think this is a success because it showcases a solution that is implementable with very limited resources. So yeah, for the success question, I can share you this. And for the question about the community engagement, I also will try to be brief as possible. So community engagement, I think, strengthens the first quality of your work because you get feedback from the community, who are your audience, and also the end beneficiaries. So it is important to get feedback from them. That's why community engagement supports the quality of your work. But also it facilitates the practical aspects of your work too. Because if your motivations aligns with the community wants to help you, whether you ask them or not. They want to help you and you can get really important support from the community. But I think there is an important aspect that we need to take into consideration while we are talking about community engagement. If you don't have a solidarity lens, community engagement, I think, does more harm than good. So you shouldn't engage the community only to tick some boxes for your project reporting. If you do it only for the sake of appearance, then I think don't do it at all because it undermines the trust in community engagement. And also, I think this was the one of the important learnings for me when I heard the story of Josip and Maribor cycling network in Maribor, because I saw that there is a the trust that built in that network, as far as I saw, is really strong. So I think that's an important aspect. I also wanted to add this to my answer about the community engagement, and yeah, that's all.
Okay, thank you so much. Just a brief question to follow up. Is there an intention to does the project link up with the Şişli municipality, for instance, to actually have maybe a trial of messaging their constituency or their citizens of the district in cases of heat waves? or that's for the future, maybe once the project is done, and then you have policy recommendations for all the municipalities?
So our project had also policymaker engagement components too. For example, through events, we invited them. We organized closed meetings with them to tell the findings of our project and etc. We also informed them about the things that they can do, but they weren't interested enough. But currently, there has been changes in the municipal elections after we implemented our project. So I think this new team, this new climate team, might be more interested in hearing about our project. But at that time, I need to be honest, I think they want to show commitment, but there are some limits to their commitments. For example, establishing an early warning system in such a small district, it requires a little bit more political commitment, I would say.
Okay. So for the sake of time, maybe we just continue with what is the most important systemic barrier that you have encountered in implementing this project as a challenge, and then we'll switch over to Josep. Since I think you do have, we have heard some of the issues that limit the impact of this project, maybe, but are there others that you think are important to highlight?
Well, there are a lot of barriers, but I already mentioned the main challenge. So maybe I can just elaborate on this a little bit more. So, well, I think this political commitment, the lack of political commitment stems from the lack of political commitment from central government. So we are trying to engage with local governments, but local governments needs a direction from the central government. So there isn't any from the central government as well. And also there is a political polarization or political divide between the central government and the local governments in Turkey. Some of you might know this. And currently the tension is really high. There are a lot of political and legal problems. So I think this is a systemic barrier. Maybe for my elaboration, I can just mention this, and yeah.
Thank you so much. We are talking about urban sustainability, but even the meaning of local elections in Turkey is questionable at this point, where the elected mayors are being removed from office for a variety of reasons. But let's switch to Josep and hear about maybe some systemic barriers or main challenges that they have encountered in this process.
Yeah, there is always this cycle of car addiction, and this is very systemic, and it's incorporated in all spheres of our society. So it's sometimes really difficult to get through these barriers. Sometimes you have political resistance that decision makers simply prioritize car infrastructure over sustainable transport, and because their basis of their voters are driving cars, that they will do nothing. Then you have cultural barriers that cars are seen as a symbol, status symbol, and cycling is often perceived as something childish or something not really important. It's funny that in Slovenia that we are like cycling. We in the past we were skiing nation, and now we are becoming more and more cycling nation. And still in the winter, people ask, "But why you cycle? Isn't it cold?" And I just say, "Why you ski?" Because skiing is also outdoors, and you have to be, warmly dressed and so on. Then another systemic barrier is also this, as I mentioned, urban planning, which is very car-centric and is deeply ingrained in the infrastructure, and then also lack of integration between different modes. Something we do for cyclists, something we do for public transportation, but is not connected adequately within each other. Also lack of funding, but I must say that in recent years we are getting better because on the national level we have a strong push. The ministry, which is now pushing very hard to on the national level. We have now urban mobility plans undergoing in 180 municipalities in Slovenia, and also my city will now be part of it. And this is really good because the ministry give you money to the municipality to make this urban mobility plan, and if they want to do it, it's not only to make a paper and put it in somewhere, hide it, but it's the whole year of activities. So they have to prepare different events with the different stakeholders. They have to have a working group inside their municipality. So there are a lot of things which have to be done, and everything is according to the national standards. So it's good approach, I think, especially in the smaller communities when you have only 3 to 5 persons employed, and there is a lack of knowledge inside the community, and it's good push from the national side that they have to adopt if they want to have it. They have to follow the minimum standards that every municipality have to work on, and I think it's a good in the good direction, step in a good direction.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Maybe now going back to Johannes, and maybe if you will, based on the meetings that you had as part of the Urban Doers community, and based on your own sort of experiences, what lessons can be drawn from the experiences of urban doers, and in general, like what are the biggest barriers that urban doers face when trying to implement sustainability initiatives in their cities, as far as the other urban doers are concerned as well? So are there lessons that we can draw from these experiences?
Yeah, thank you. I think there's a lot to learn, because both the colleagues talked about all the experiences they had while doing the projects, and this partly very long running projects. 30 years, that is very long. How you get things done or get done in the city council and so on. I think each of these local initiatives have not only present today, but also the others. Any local initiative has some very specific knowledge on a very specific scope in a very specific neighborhood, and I think this is really to cherish, or to bring to a fore, and to, I don't like to say use it, but to mobilize it, to make sure on different levels. Could be the city level, could be the regional level, could be the national level, could be the European level. And I think there's just no way that if we talk about sustainability on a European scale, that we miss all these experiences and partly tested knowledges which are out there. I don't dare to talk about the barriers for each urban doers initiative, because there are many, and I think the colleagues know that well. But I will tell you some barriers on another scale, and that is this European programming scale, because we are. It was quite challenging also to set up this urban doers community, because it doesn't tick a box in research and innovation funding. There is, until we just invented it and tried it out, there was not really a box which we could use. And it's still very, very challenging to set it up because our national governments or the national regulations and the EU regulations are simply not made for that. So we need to constantly find ways around how we navigate just to support, as a European program, support these urban doers initiative. Nobody is questioning really, I mean, some people might be, but the majority of our countries, of these 28 countries, I would say 85% are really in favor of it. But it shows that there's a systematic, let's say, barrier built into our funding systems or into how we support research and innovation, in a sense, that is built on, good investments, let's say, good that they are safe, that no money is wasted, and so on. But at the same time, they build kind of the barriers to be flexible outside of, to fulfill the needs which you need to address when you talk about sustainable urbanization. And on a program level, we are constantly kind of, I would say, pushing the frontier to see how far we can go. What is the challenge? How can we make it happen? It is still challenging. I'm very proud that to be honest, that we got this going, the urban doers community, and that this is something we can work on. And I think it's not really related to the question, but from the experience from working with the 20 urban doers, I think the best conversations or the best situations were when people from different levels came together and talked, from the urban doers, from the national level, from a European policy level. We had a couple of webinars and sessions at conferences and so on. And I think this is so important because it creates an understanding among the different levels about the challenges, about the different narratives, also about the different aims. And I think we really need more of that, to not only talk about each other, but kind of talk with each other, not only on a project content level, but also on a kind of emotional level. What drives you? Where do you come from? To create a common understanding for urban transitions in the end.
Yeah, thank you so much. This is very important, and I think it sort of leads to the next question that I had, which was basically collaboration among different civil society organizations or different groups in cities, or as you said, in different levels. Maybe we can start with Yos in this case and see if, collaboration with other civil society actors, local, national government bodies, is there any, or private sector organizations, is there any experience of that that you would like to share in addition to what you already told us about, the relations to other actors in the urban context where you carried out your project?
All right, maybe if it's okay, I can combine my answers to your question now and the question of how can civil society actors amplify their impact in the pursuit of sustainability. So yeah, I will try to do that then. So to be honest, we haven't yet collaborated with national governments and private sector organizations. Not that we can't or we don't do. We can, but an opportunity didn't arise yet, and also we need to prepare some protocols for such collaborations. But apart from collaborations, of course, we do communicate with them. For example, right now, the framework climate law of Turkey is being discussed in the parliament. So recently we are going to Ankara all the time and engage with the policymakers and etc. But this is not really a collaboration. But on the other hand, we, of course, collaborated with different NGOs and municipalities. Most of the time, these collaborations would take the form of project partnerships. And also, time to time, we collaborate with them through individual activities. Specifically for civil society organizations, we do come together under the umbrella of umbrella organizations like platforms, networks, for example, Climate Action Network on European scale, or in Turkey, a new network is founded called İklima, Climate Alliance. So we are also active in that network too. And maybe to give you a little bit more detail on that, I can now combine my answer to the second question. How can civil society actors amplify their impact in the pursuit of sustainable cities? With all the constraints in mind, I have to say this, NGOs need to take a step further to amplify their impact and rise to the challenges of our current century. And luckily, we have initiatives such as Urban Doers to facilitate this process. I'm not sure if this coincides with the explanations that Johannes did, but as far as I understood, one of the ideas behind this Urban Doers initiative was to help small projects to grow, to get on another level, on one level bigger. So I think this is what Urban Doers program initiative did to our project, because our project was limited in time. It took 6 months, and geographic coverage was also limited. But thanks to the flexible support that we got from the Urban Doers, we made several project applications, and one of them got accepted. So this year we will be implementing a much bigger citizen science project to study effects of heat waves, extreme heat, on outdoor environments in Maltepe district in collaboration with the Maltepe municipality. So this will be a more direct. This will include a more direct engagement with the municipality. So maybe this might be the example that I can share with you for both of the questions.
Thank you very much. Yes, this is great. Looking forward to the project in Maltepe as well. And Josip, what about you? Any thoughts? I know you already said that you collaborated with many sort of other associations. Even the formation of the party was actually not only the cycling association. So any thoughts on collaboration with other actors, both national, local level, and private sector in your case?
Yeah, well, we all agree on that collaboration is very important for all initiatives and ideas and etc. But I would like to mention Johannes before said that you also have to find the way how to collaborate with somebody, not only for ticking the boxes for the project, And I think what is crucial is that we are somehow driven by the curiosity. What is going on with different cities, people, etc. And I really like to work with associations or other institutions. Not only we have projects, and we do also projects to raise the money, and that money come to our association, and that people are employed. But it has to be something more, and this something more is that is fulfilling the curiosity for what we see as something what can improve, not in a way as perfectionism, but in a way that can be some added value to our work. And for example, we also are very good connected to our neighboring city, Austria, Graz, which is only 80 kilometers from here. And since 2012, we organize every year a winter cycling event, Grazibor, and it was never part of any project. We never do some application to somewhere to report to somebody. We just do it because we like to cycle, and we like to get to know to each other, and we like to have fun, And I think that every organization in different field also need this kind of projects. So projects which are not only for the money, not only for reporting, for applications, but just for pure fun and excitement, you know. And if you do it in that way, in the long run, you will find some really funny things coming around, you know. You will improve in some way that you won't. It's unexpected, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Very good. Thank you so much for sharing these experiences. So maybe now I turn to Johannes again and maybe ask another broad or general question about how can urban doers collaborate effectively with policymakers and citizens to create meaningful change based on your observations of the urban doers as part of this project.
I think the main answer to this question is that there's no one size fits all. I think it depends very much on the local circumstances, about the local politics, about the openness of the local administration or politics to get local initiatives or NGOs on board. I think there are some beautiful examples. I work in a different project with the city of Ghent in Belgium, which has in the project on rewilding has included a couple of NGOs. One is called the Ghent Environmental Front, and they're very. It's an active. I think they came out from an activist background, but now over the years somehow developed into an NGO that the city is working with them on how to green or de-seal small spots in people's gardens, in the streets, and so on, which is a very, and they are now in a huge project together. I think these examples are very hopeful, but it depends always on the local circumstances. Of course, you have other cities, larger city, where the administration is just so large that they basically say, "Oh, we do it anyway." Somehow in our administration, I think there's also differences in how in the income level or in the wealth of a country. How I mean, I live in Austria. The city of Vienna is huge. I mean, administratively huge, which is a complete different scope to other smaller cities or to cities and countries where there's public administration is just very, very thin compared to Vienna. There might be a bigger need or a bigger ambition to reach out. There might be a bigger cultural or tradition to do that. So I really think there's no size fits all. I think we need more of these arenas where we bring people together to talk and exchange and be inspired. And also bring in things like you said, Josip, driven by curiosity. I think this is one of these sentences which I find it's so inspiring. But you're just having fun by having a bike ride, doing that, and I think that's just telling the story about it is so much more inspiring than just said, "Oh, we submitted the application X, we got granted, and then we implemented a bike ride from Graz to Maribor." But just it is how you phrase it and how you often also how you package it. That's where the inspiration lies. It could also be if the project X is super successful and they have a nice bike ride, you can also make a nice story out of that. But it is about this this inspiration, I find, which often comes with personal ambition, or not a personal ambition, but with a personal drive to improve things on all kind of levels.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. Maybe and there's actually a question to Josip about how did this cycling start in Maribor, and basically how did it proceed in such a successful manner? So as you said, it's a very lengthy process, but the question basically is asking who initiated it, right? So who was behind this development of cycling infrastructure and then these corridors that you are talking about. So we'll get to that in the Q&A. But first, I want to close this round and our session and move on over to the Q&A by asking you maybe if you have any advice to urban doers or people who are already engaged in such projects or such initiatives in their own local environment, in their own cities. Are there any general advice that you can give beyond what we have already talked about? Because I think there's a lot of sort of inspiration that one can take from what we already discussed. But so maybe I'll give the floor first to Yağız and then to Josip, and then maybe Johannes, if you have any final thoughts then before we move over to Q&A. So Yağız, the floor is yours.
Maybe, I mean, I agree with, what Josip said about, having fun. Having fun is important. For example, the success that I explained to you was my fun. I wanted to have that fun. And, kind of with the support from the urban doers, we could do that. It of course contributed to our, organizational capacity. So first, I wanted to agree with Josip about that. That's really important. And also, I also agree with there is no one size fits all recipe for any of the contexts that we are talking about. But I think being field oriented, not being too much conceptual, also helps. So yeah, maybe these three contributions can suffice. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Josip.
So the question is how how we should give the examples to new urban doers, or
or any advice, like people may already be working on, let's say, cycling network or cycling infrastructure and improving cycling possibilities in their city, for instance, or other issues. Any advice that you would give? Like, I mean, you already said, be curious, have fun, try different channels, use diplomacy. So we already heard a lot, but is there anything in addition to these that you would like to add?
There was last week, one girl came to our association from total different part of Slovenia, and she said that she wants to start cycling association or something in her town. And I said to her that she needs to find some people around in the area and try to organize event to talk with people. What is the problem? What they want? And maybe this can be a good seed to start initiative. But if there is only one person, the person needs somebody. So it's not only it cannot be done by one person band. You need a band. You have to play, and then people will come together.
Yeah, so
That's
finding like-minded or people with similar goals and coming together and forming a group that maybe starts slowly, not necessarily having the association all of a sudden, but having some events in the city.
Yeah, but not only with similar goals. This is maybe another step, second step. Already similar problems, because people are somehow engaged through the similar problems,
Yeah.
Let's maybe first start and then goals and all other things.
And develop. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Johannes?
I think this is also a difficult one, but I think besides finding people or people who go on this journey together with you, I think you also need to identify your counterparts is the wrong word, but those alliances in the city administration or in other programs, in other whatever you want to influence, or wherever you find a barrier you need to overcome. And I think just judging from where we come from DUT, I think it is a lot about letting people know about your work, but also about your barriers. Because although there might be a barrier, there might also be, if you find the right people, there might be an opening to overcome these barriers, or to somehow challenge it, or somehow, yeah, find a way around it. Sometimes it might not work immediately. I mean, just coming from a research innovation funding perspective, these things take years often. But at the end, there might be something coming out which you are not even aware of that they contributed to maybe in the first place. But I think it is important to be bold about the experience and knowledge you create, or which is there in the local level, and let people know about it and find the right people to share your experiences with.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you so much. So thank you to all our panelists for contributing and for sharing their experiences. As I said in the chat, there's a question about how it all began in the case of Maribor. So maybe, Josip, you could start by answering that. If there are other questions, please feel free to type them in the chat, not in the chat, in the Q&A box. And we will try to answer as much as we can given the time constraint. But yeah, Josip, would you like to?
Okay, I will try to answer. Thank you for this question.
By
written
Ekin, by the way. This is
Ekin,
Ekin
yeah.
Alpagut, yeah.
Thank you, Ekin, yeah. Okay, to really focus, because 30 years, it's a long story, so short. As I mentioned, in the 90s, so 94, the year 94, there was really car-centric approach to the city. You know, Maribor was in that time still industrial city, you know, and people mostly drive cars, and cycling infrastructure was underdeveloped or non-existing. So people who wanted to cycle started to talk with each other, and they prepare one event at the university, and it was like public debate what we can do to cycle more. And then this group started Maribor Cycling Network, and it was actually not NGO, but still a non-formal initiative. And then they decided that they will organize a big event, Velocity Conference, which was in that time still small conference, not as big as today, when city have to give a lot of money to organize it, organized by European Cyclist Federation. And it was organized in 1999 together with Graz. So it was first cross-border conference. And, you know, at the same time, people of Slovenia, you know, they are really like to be, we are, sometimes we say we are nation of small gardeners, you know. So everybody likes to have a really beautiful spot, and everything have to be clean, and so on. So people are really, you know, look how to improve everything in their city, you know. And coming back to the cycling network, this organization started to grow also because of this big conference organized by the network. And then if you have people inside the organization, they are also employed in the municipality, in the development agency, at the university. And so this network somehow became network of people who are employed in different sectors, but share common mission to improve cycling. And during these years, you know, also Ljubljana Cycling Network started in 2000. So actually, they followed our example in Ljubljana with this association. And during these years, a lot of people who were part of association became officials at the ministries, officials in some other institutions, as I mentioned before. And this is how we spread our knowledge or our know-how, and yeah, this is how actually everything developed. And we actually started to professionalize the association in 2010, 2011. Before it was only a member association, but now we have employed people and doing bigger projects. Yeah, I hope that answered a little bit.
Yeah,
the
I
question.
mean, thank you so much. There is another comment or question from Mustafa Karakuş from Bugep. He's based in Izmir. He says, we wish to plan a visit to Maribor to see the progress in the city. We plan to apply for a project to get the required budgets. Are you open to such collaborations and partnerships? Josip?
Okay, can I just write my email down? So that,
Yeah, I can share your
this-
email with them.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, if the question is like, are you open to such collaboration? Which
Yes.
yes. Okay, great.
Bugep is
Bugep.
okay. Is the name
Of the organization, cyclist organization. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Maybe I want to ask a question to Jos, because of I'm wondering, like, to what extent, so the citizen science aspect is very important, and it's I think, you know, it gives you incredible data about heat waves and how people are coping with it, and so on and so forth. I was wondering if official data is available about the extent of or the impact of heat waves in Turkey at the city level or at the national level. Do we have access to any data, or is such data even does it exist? So this is what I was wondering, like a national level.
So you ask if the data exists in the national level?
Yeah, or at the local, like national level collects the data, but maybe does not share it. But is it like even collected, the impact of heat waves at the?
So yeah, I mean, maybe I can share my screen. Can you just wait a sec, and
Yeah.
I can show you the studies on that actually. Just a sec. So yeah, this shows the surveillance of heat-related health impacts in European countries, and Turkey didn't provide a response, so we don't know it exactly if they do, monitor the data. But on the meteorological level, they have the data. But I'm not sure if they do have the data with regards to the public health, and maybe I can. Yeah, this is the heat-related mortality. This is a study about that. And this is about heat health action plans. Turkey doesn't have any. This is about heat health warning systems in Europe, but this is a report from 2004, prepared by WHO. And they produced new reports too. But at that time, Turkey had a heat health warning system, which has the characteristics of type 2 warning systems, communication of the warning either to the general public and or to health agencies. Well, if you look at it, it's for the 2024 climate emergency, it's not up to date, such a categorization. So this is a report from 2022 by WHO. So thermal stress, heat waves monitoring system in place. No, it isn't. There is a monitoring system that includes meteorological information, as I said, but there isn't any early warning and prevention strategies in place to reach affected population. But as far as I remember, Climate Directory published a action plan and a strategy last year. It included an action which focused on yearly publishing climate and health profile of Turkey. So I don't know what information that profile will include. If we see the results of that action, maybe we can for sure know if they do have the data about the public health and extreme heat. But as far as I understood from all these reports, Turkey doesn't monitor the public health implications of extreme heat.
Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah. So in that case, your project becomes even more important in terms of showing the potential of understanding the impact of heat waves, both in the household and in public spaces. And it could lead to important policy implications if undertaken by the authorities, obviously. Okay, let me just see if there are any other questions. As far as I can see, there aren't any. So maybe we can wrap up here. Any last words? Johannes, go ahead, please. So, yeah.
Zeynep, I would be interested in your reflections to today's webinar. What do you take away from it? What was very exciting and how does it link to your work?
Yeah, so basically for me, how it links to my work and what is exciting about the urban doers is that I believe that, national plans or global norm changes, these are important issues, but as long as there is no pressure coming from the local civil society, governments, be it local or national, they may end up sort of doing as if, ticking boxes, as we have said, which we see in many cases. Like municipalities may receive funding and then they may just do a pilot project, but end up just doing the pilot and not necessarily expanding that to the city as a whole. Whereas I think the urban doers and local initiatives are key in pressuring their governments to actually to be more accountable and to be more responsive to the demands of civil society, be it NGOs or networks, platforms, or any other initiative, that and that only could lead to meaningful change and transition to a better or a future for our cities, I think. If we think about climate change, if we think about other issues that we have, urban doers are key, local civil society is key in making this change more meaningful, I believe. Yeah, so I think these experiences were really providing a great insight for me for my project as well. So any last words, Josip or Yos, maybe, or Johannes, do you want to maybe add something? No?
Thank you for the invitation.
I mean,
I think
yeah,
these kind of
thank you for-
discussions are always great. I mean, there's always so much to learn to have these exchanges. Thanks
Thank
for
you so
making it
much for
possible.
participating and for sharing your experiences and your insights. We will be putting Turkish subtitles and uploading these to a YouTube, hopefully, and so that broader audiences can actually in Turkey benefit from these experiences in the medium to long run as well. Josip.
Thank you, everybody, and you are invited to Maribor. I already sent the email to Mustafa, to your association. If you are interested in the city trip, we can make it available and you will have fun. Definitely.
That's great. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you. Yes?
No, I was just going to thanks.
Okay, great. So thank you everyone for joining this webinar, and thanks also to our participants and also to the IPC team that made it happen. So yeah, let's meet next month, hopefully, for the next webinar in this series. Thank you, everyone. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.